of graves in Islam. One is a fiqhi, external, and in reality allegorical grave. And that's the grave that the Farrokh speak about. And for everyone it looks the same. And it's where we're buried. And only the physical dimension of ours is buried there. And we, the I, has nothing to do with it, at least after a while. The reason that we have to pay respect to the corpse, the physical corpse, and we have to wash it very gently and place the kafan, enshroud it very gently, paying respect to the physical corpse. Because first of all, it's paying respect to the I, because that I was in association with that physical corpse once upon a time. But more importantly, for many people, when they die a physical death, they still think that physical corpse is them. It takes a period of time before they realize. And that's why if you pay disrespect to the corpse, if you burn the corpse, or if you do other disrespectful things, that will lead to a lot of distress for the spirit, because they still think it's them there. They haven't realized, paid heed to the fact that they're in barzakh now. In any case, that's the fiqhi grave. For everyone it's the same. And it's not that important for you in the hereafter. Then we come to another type of grave which the poets speak about a lot, and there's some reference in the Holy Quran in relation to this kind of grave, and that's the animal body or the animal self. Inna Allaha yusmi'u man yasha wa ma anta bimusmi'in man fil qubur. Verily Allah makes hear those who want to hear, but you can't make those who are in their graves hear. Now here, the verse is addressing the polytheists, the kuffar. Allah is saying to the Holy Messenger, you can't make those people hear because they're in their graves. They were physically alive. Here because they were buried in their animalistic dimension. When one's animal nature and dimension predominates over oneself, the ear hears physically, but it doesn't lend to the truth. You may see physically, but you won't see the truth. And that's because you're buried in your animal self. And that's another kind of grave. That's a bit more important compared to the other. However, that too, everyone's grave is the same. Everyone has that animal dimension. However, in the third type of grave, which is the real grave, it's not figurative anymore, like the fiqhi grave, which was called the grave as a figure of speech because it has nothing to do with us after a while. But there's a grave that we're directly in connection with, and for everyone this grave is different, contrary to the other two, where with everyone those graves are more or less the same. But there's another grave in Islam, and for every person this grave differs. It's not the same. That grave, according to the language of the traditions, that grave is called Barzakh. And they asked the holy Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Mal Barzakh. What is Barzakh? He said, Al-Qabro. It's the grave. See? And it's not a figure of speech anymore. This is in real terms. This is the Irfani grave. This is the grave that we'll all have, but it's different for all of us. Why? We'll come to it in a minute. Al-Qabro. منذ حين موته إلى يوم القيامة. From death to the day of Qiyamah, to the day of resurrection. This period, this is called Barzakh. That's the grave. Now, after death, and we have other traditions too, إذا مات الإنسان فهو في قيامته. When man dies, Qiyamah starts. Resurrection starts. But this resurrection is of two types. There's a minor resurrection and a major resurrection. The minor resurrection is called Barzakh. Then the major resurrection, that is Qiyamah. In both of them, they have similarities, but there are differences at the same time. In both of them, it's resurrection of one's actions. One's actions in this world will be resurrected, will be manifested. But in Barzakh, it will be manifested in one way. In Qiyamah, it will be resurrected in a much more precise and definite way. Barzakh is a transitory period to Qiyamah. It's a minor resurrection, but it's a transitory period to Qiyamah. As Ibn Sina, Avicenna, famous Muslim philosopher, said, it's like the womb to the world. They're both in the world, but the womb, the child is in a transitory period before coming into the world. Barzakh has the ruling of the womb, acting as a transitory period. Qiyamah has other classifications. We have a material Qiyamah, we have a spiritual Qiyamah. Barzakh onwards is the spiritual Qiyamah. And after death, we all start our spiritual Qiyamah. The materialistic and physical Qiyamah, which some verses of the Quran refer to, that is in relation to events in the external world. But they don't have to happen before spiritual resurrection happens. Spiritual Qiyamah starts on death. Those signs will happen one day. But it doesn't mean it has to happen before the spiritual Qiyamah of people. That's one point. After death, Qiyamah starts. And the physical Qiyamah, we have multiple successive ones. For every cycle of people, there will be a physical Qiyamah. We are now in the cycle of Adam alayhi salam, and as descendants of Adam alayhi salam, we will have a physical Qiyamah eventually. Most of us are dead though before that will happen. And then after that physical Qiyamah, when the next cycle starts, there will be new prophets, new imams, so on and so forth, and they will have a physical Qiyamah too. But we would have undergone our spiritual Qiyamah anyway. I mean, heaven and hell, they exist right now. Now, heaven and hell, they're manifestations of your actions. Moment to moment, you're building your afterlife. As you act in this world, you're building it. Heaven and hell exist, your heaven and your hell, depending on how you act. They exist right now, but you can't see it because you're drowned in the physical dimension of existence. And heaven and hell aren't physical according to the Urafa. A doesn't mean there are no bodies. That doesn't mean there's no food, no drink, no pleasure, no pain, no fire. All these exist, but they're not physical. Pain will be more perfect because it's not physical pain, but it'll be worse than physical pain. Pleasure will be more perfect. It's not limited. Here, when you have a few morsels of food, the pleasure ends. The traditions say you'll never be satiated in heaven. It's another realm of existence. It's not physical. Don't treat it as physical. Also with pain, it's much more severe. Heaven and hell exist right now, depending on how your actions, what you're doing, because they're manifestations of your actions. You build your heaven or hell moment to moment, but you can't see it now. The reason you can't see it is because it's immaterial. And you're drowned in the material realm of existence. If you would detach from the physical realm, you begin seeing. If you detach from the physical realm of existence. When you sleep, you detach from the physical realm of existence automatically. And in your sleep, you do see some realities of Barzakh, for example. Have you ever seen a snake, a dog, barking, attacking you, for example, in your sleep? You're the dog, you're the snake. You bit someone during the day. You stung someone during the day. You had snake attributes or dog attributes during the day. That manifests. But with sleep, you return in this physical realm. Now you have a chance to amend things. With the greater sleep, there'll be no opportunity now, and there's no waking up. And that dog, that snake, that will just keep on biting. And that's punishment of the grave. The punishment, the pressure of the grave at the first night of the grave, it's this. If you open the grave the first night, you won't see any scorpions, snakes, or dogs. But the pressure of the grave are the scorpions, the grave, snakes, and the dogs. But they're all immaterial. The eye is suffering, is being bitten, is under torment. But there's nothing physical about Barzakh. From Barzakh onwards, it's all metaphysical. إن الذين يأكلون أموال اليتامى ظلما إنما يأكلون في بطونهم نارا. Those who consume orphans' property wrongfully, they're only consuming fire in their stomachs. As they are doing this sin, they're consuming fire. That consumption of fire is a manifestation of that sin, but they don't see the fire. One day they will see it. With physical death, when one will break and detach from the physical realm, they will see it there. Some people may see the fire in their dreams, and they have to be aware they've done something wrong. The Holy Prophet, in one of his mi'rajes, in his ascensions, he saw angels making castles, palaces. They weren't physical castles or palaces. And then they stopped making it. He asked them of the reason. They said that these palaces are a result of certain actions that a person has done with preparing their heaven. And then they did a sin, and then they destroyed the castles, they destroyed the palaces. Our actions are the fuel to the making of our hell or our heaven. It's all our actions. You are your actions. We believe that in Islam. In the same way that water and bread builds the physical body, water, knowledge, and bread, actions, build you in the hereafter. قال يا نور إنه ليس من أهلك. Allah said, O Noah, your son, he's not one of your family. إنه عمل غير صالح. Rather, he is non-righteous actions. The Quran doesn't say he's the possessor of non-righteous actions. It doesn't say he is the owner, the doer. He is non-righteous actions. They asked the Holy Messenger, where are we going after this world? Where are we going towards? He replied, everyone is going towards their actions, because heaven and hell is a function of one's actions. It's all in your hands. Okay. And when the Sharia speaks of things being mustahab, or things being wajib, or things being makruh, or things being haram, this is what it's pointing to. It's an indicator to how your status quo, your spiritual status quo in the hereafter is being shaped. If something is mustahab and you do it, you're shaping your hereafter in a more positive light. If something is makruh and you do it, it's in a more negative light, but it's not detrimental. If something is haram and you're committing it, the order of the hereafter, like the order of the physical realm of existence, is based on cause and effect. In the same way, in the physical world, if you get a knife and stick it in yourself, you expect to bleed and die. That's the nature of cause and effect in this world. In the hereafter too, you do sins, you will be shaping your hereafter as a result of cause and effect in a very detrimental way. So it's all in your hands. You're the director of this film. You're making the film. Ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah. The world, the tradition goes, the world is the hereafter's farmyard. But you reap what you sow. But you are the farmer. You're the farm. It's your soul. You're the farmer. You're the seeds, your actions, and you will be the harvest. It's all to do with how you're acting. Okay. Now, in the Quran, there's a verse that, if I can find it, it's chapter 36, verse 54. فَالْيَوْمَ لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. This illa is a particle of exception. Illa, except. Whenever you see illa in the Quran, look at what succeeds it. Look at what precedes it. And that which succeeds it is one and the same as that which precedes it. Here it says that day no one will be oppressed, no soul will be oppressed at all. Why? Because you are your actions. How you acted will be manifested in the hereafter. No one is oppressing you. It's all a question of you oppressed yourself. Don't blame it on anyone else. No one will be oppressed. What were your actions? They will be manifested as such in the hereafter. and you won't be recompensed save that which you did. So here, recompensation, reward or torment, adab, is one, well, first of all, it's vertical to one's actions. But even more importantly, recompensation, that torment or reward, is one and the same as one's actions, according to this verse. They're not different. Actions and that punishment, for example, if the actions were bad, it's one reality. In this physical realm, it manifests as actions. In the realm of the hereafter, in the immaterial realm, it will manifest as fire, as snakes, scorpions, depending on the action, what it was. But it's one reality, two sides of the same coin. Now with punishment, there are two types. One is a conventional type of punishment. For example, if you speed down the highway, you get a ticket, a fine. So speeding is the action, the punishment is a fine. But there's no cause and effect, there's no natural relationship between speeding and the fine. This fine is a conventional, arbitrary punishment. It's not naturally by nature associated with speeding. It's a punishment man has arbitrarily assigned for speeding. Such punishments are called conventional punishments. Conventional punishments can be pardoned, can be discounted. It's man-made. The policeman can say, okay, I'll turn a blind eye, you just go, and not fine you. These things are pardonable. It's discountable. Qiyamah and the hereafter is not like this. Qiyamah is like the second form of punishment, and that is a natural form of punishment, where the punishment and the action are one. It's a cause and effect relationship. It's a natural, nature's relationship. It's the order of things. That these two, it's cause and effect. You put your hand in fire, your hand will burn. There's no discounting, there's no pardoning. You put the hand in fire, it will burn. This kind of punishment, you can't turn a blind eye to. It's not pardonable. Qiyamah is like this. Heaven and hell is of this form. You do actions, those very actions will manifest as punishment or reward, depending on them. So, when people speak of hell, in terms of it being a place, a physical place, then you're thrown into hell, they first say it's a physical place. Then they say you'll encounter a red monster with horns. So when some people speak of hell, for example, as a place, and they speak of you encountering a red monster with two horns, called Satan, for example, and then Satan will punish you, whip you with a physical whip, with physical fire, he'll burn you. Then here we have to be careful how we explain these things, especially to the children. You'll be surprised how that is the norm of most people. They think of hell as a physical hell, Shaitan as a physical being, as a red monster with two horns whipping and burning you. And then someone tells Shaitan in hell, why are you burning me? Then Shaitan says, because you didn't pray to Allah. As if Allah needs one's prayers. Does Allah need that me and you pray to Him? Does Allah punish us because we don't pray? Does Allah punish us because we, for example, drink haram things? Is that Allah? Is that the Allah we're introducing to our children? And then they ask a question, the youth. It's a legitimate question. What kind of Allah is that? And they become distanced from religion, slowly but surely. Why does Allah have to punish? When you look at the causes of punishment in this world, under secular law, or punishment in general, in this world, why do people punish? For example, me, if I get angry, I will punish someone. Or if I want to educate my son, I punish him. Or I punish out of deterrence, as a deterrent to something. But none of these apply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He neither gets angry, of course He doesn't. Why should He get angry? This is absolute perfection we're speaking about. Why should He punish to educate? In the hereafter it's game over. It's not as if we're going to come back here again. Why should He punish as a deterrent? It's game over in that realm. So you see, none of these apply to Allah. Allah doesn't punish because we did not do our salat, or we committed certain vicious actions. So what is it then? And then when Shaitan, the way they explain it, when Shaitan is burning you, you say, well, why are you burning me? Then Shaitan says, because I have to burn you for a while and then you can go to heaven. But the person will say, I don't want to go to heaven, stop burning me though. You see, when you explain it in a very physical manner, you're going to encounter these kind of dilemmas which are almost impossible to answer. Rather, don't blame Allah. Punishment has nothing to do with Allah. Rather, you committed actions. You are the director of your heaven or hell. You did it yourself. And that burning and those scorpions and whatever is a manifestation that you under your own hands made for yourself. Right now you are burning, but you can't see it. And this is something important. When you teach resurrection to your children, be careful. Don't compromise Allah. I know there are very few scholars in America, but don't be taught by anyone. People who teach and they don't have enough background, they're doing a disservice by teaching. And they can be framing children's minds in a way that those children's minds will never return again until the rest of their life. There's responsibility here. Teaching is not a game. Leave it to the teachers. I know that there are very few ulama here, but do your best anyway. But be careful. Don't play around with their Islamic doctrine. Okay, we'll stop there. We'll continue it. وصلى الله على محمد.